Gary Clute has been quick in the past. 18 of Alex Tagliani. You know him if you follow the IndyCar series as well. Veteran open wheel driver now calls the NASCAR Pinty series home and has found some great success in this series. As a matter of fact, coming up just short of winning the championship 1 year ago. He's had some tough luck to start off the 2022 season, hoping to turn his luck around here today behind the wheel of that 18 car.
Ray shooting stuff Sears used to shoot. Set 14. Used to. And dissolve 14. No.
Race fans, it is time to go stock car racing on the streets of the CNE. It is time for the Pinty's Grand Prix of Toronto. Before we meet the starting lineup, please join me in welcoming some very special guests. First, our honorary starter from Tim Hortons, Ralph Shepard, who's made his way to the start-finish line. And please help me welcome today's Grand Marshal from New Era Logistics, Anna Dacuna. And now let's meet the starting grid for the NASCAR Pinty Series Grand Prix of Toronto. Starting 25th from Stayner, Ontario, the GMS Sheer Metal Products APC Chevrolet number 9, Brandon Watson. Starting 24th from Ohsweken, Ontario, the GSR Ohsweken Speedway Chevrolet number 0, Glenn Stiers. Starting 23rd from Toronto, the rigid Ryobi Queensway Truck Center Dodge number 61, Brent Weller. Starting 22nd from Kahnawake, Quebec, the K-Fiber Optic Bullies Truck Stop Chevrolet number 66, Wallace Stacy. Starting 21st from Toronto, the RGC Sports Delta Bingo Valamo Chevrolet number 2, TJ Renamato. Starting 20th from Peterborough, Ontario, the OK Tire Peterborough Driven for Communications Dodge number 71, Brian Cathcart. Starting 19th from Barrie, Ontario, the Leland IHL Group Chevrolet number 64, Mark Dilley. Starting 18th from Montreal, Quebec, the RJ Investissement Fast Eddie Transit Chevrolet number 8, Ray Jr. Cordemanche. Starting 17th from Oakville, Ontario, the O'Neill Electric eBay Motors Castrol Dodge number 84, Larry Jackson. Starting 16th from Saint-Donat-de-Montcalm, Quebec, the Prolon Russo Metals Ford number 1, J.P. Bergeron. Starting 15th from Kahnawake, Quebec, the Bullies Truck Stop K-Fiber Optic Chevrolet number 92, Dexter Stacy. Starting 14th from St. Thomas, Ontario, the Castrol Edge Cathcart Trucking CIM Metals Dodge number 17, DJ Cannington. Starting 13th from Grimsby, Ontario, the FBM RGC Sports Quick Chevrolet number 20, Drayton Lapsevich. Starting 12th from Toronto, the Curb Records AER Dark Horse Trailer Chevrolet number 98, Sam Fellows. Starting 11th from Halton Hills, Ontario, the Legendary Motor Car Company Ltd Dodge number 6, Peter Clute. Now race fans, your top 10. Starting 10th from Bracebridge, Ontario, the MBS Motorsports Chevrolet number 31, Daniel Hua. Starting 9th from Milton, Ontario, the Arthur Electric B-Squared Deckles Dodge number 99, Matthew Scannell. Starting 8th from Terrebonne, Quebec, the Motos Illimité DLGL Ford number 39, Alex Gannett. Starting 7th from Halton Hills, Ontario, the New Tech Wood Ace Hill Dodge number 59, Gary Clute. Starting 6th from Boisbriand, Quebec, the Kamloops GL Electricité Automatisation Chevrolet number 13, L.P. Montour. Starting 5th from St. Leonard d'Aston, Quebec, the GM Paillet Chevrolet Canada number 96, Marc-Antoine Camarand. Starting 4th from St. Eustache, Quebec, the ESR Lacroix Tuning Boulonnais Dodge number 74, Kevin Lacroix. Starting 3rd from Lachine, Quebec, the Viagra St. Hubert Quick Chevrolet number 18, Alex Tagliani. Starting 2nd from Trois-Rivières, Quebec, the WeatherTech Belle-Mare Dodge number 47, L.P. Dumoulin. And your pole sitter from Roxton Pond, Quebec, the GM Paillet Chevrolet Canada number 27, Andrew Ranger. Now, race fans, we ask you to please rise and remove your hats as I welcome Ken De Los Santos to sing the national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Race fans, we are 2 minutes away from the most famous words in motorsports, and let me tell you, you do not want to miss this show. 25 stock cars lined up and ready to go here on the streets of Toronto for race number 5 in the 2022 NASCAR Pinty Series. Race fans, it is time. Let me welcome one more time from New Era Logistics, Anna DeCuna, to get this show started.
Drivers, start your engines.
So as Adam makes his way back up to the announce booth, we can look forward to, again, 35 laps of action-packed NASCAR-style racing on the streets of Toronto. Going into turn number 1 for the first time is going to be a treat. I think the Don Valley Parkway is tight during rush hour. Just wait till you see these cars haul into turn number 1, all looking to lead a piece of this race, trying to get out in front early, control the pace. That's what they want to do. Keep an eye, too, on that WeatherTech Dodge out in front, the 47 of LP Dumoulin. He's a 3-time series champion, starts to the outside of the front row. Has yet to win here in Toronto, but could today be his day? As we mentioned, Andrew Ranger has tasted victory 3 times. Kevin Lacroix has already reached victory lane once. Alex Tagliani seen the checkers first twice. That is your top 4. So out of the top 4, just one driver has not yet won here in Toronto, and that is the 47 of LP Dumoulin. That's not to say he hasn't won a lot in this series. As we mentioned, 3-time series champion. So the field is getting set to roll off. The NASCAR officials taking their positions around this track. And we welcome Adam Ross back up to the announce booth.
You know me better than that, Dave. I just climbed stairs. 5 seconds I could have regained my composure, but you did it. It was right into it.
You look good. You were jumping around. You look like you were full of energy.
I feel pretty spry, I'm not going to lie. What a show. This is going to be fantastic. The teams have been so excited to get back to a normal schedule after a couple of years of condensed schedules, and this is a highlight.
Yeah, and we talked about it, and I talked to a couple of drivers and their crews down in the paddock area earlier on this afternoon. What they love about this event, the fans. So many fans, so many new eyes seeing this series. They come up, they see the cars, they talk to the drivers, they interact, and they say it feels great to have that atmosphere back here.
And you know what? On behalf of all of them, we have to say to the diehard race fans, thank you so much for being here. But also to the people who are not diehard racing fans, and you came because it's a great opportunity to make a donation to the Make-A-Wish Foundation and come enjoy a day of excitement. We thank you for allowing us to introduce you to motorsports.
Yeah, thanks for bringing great weather. Mother Nature shining on us today with beautiful sunshine, nice warm temperatures, and a great day for a motor car race. As the saying goes, as the field trying to get some heat into their general tires, moving back and forth. And if you're near one of the screens, you can see just how tight things will get down the Lakeshore Boulevard at times.
It is crowded. The walls on both sides of the racetrack, you know, it's like racing in a tunnel. These are heavy race cars. They've got lots of horsepower. They don't have phenomenal brakes. It all is part of the recipe that makes the NASCAR Pinty series wonderful to watch and exciting. I mean, there's going to be fiberglass flying at times. Folks, get your pictures now if you want to see some pretty race cars, and then take some comparison shots at the end of this race.
What I was going to say is they don't have great brakes, but they have great bumpers.
Phenomenal bumpers. 8 tires turn better than 4. They also slow down better than 4.
They do, but they'll be fun to watch, as you mentioned. Never any shortage of excitement every time the NASCAR Pinty Series makes a stop anywhere across Canada. The only national coast-to-coast stock car series in Canada is the NASCAR Pinty Series. And set to do battle here today very, very short. And continue under the warm-up laps. They should warm up very short.
I'll tell you that being a coast-to-coast series, our most recent race in Newfoundland, just outside of St. John's, one driver who really wants to rebound from a tough race there is the driver of the WeatherTech 47 of LP Dumoulin. Suffered his hardest crash since joining NASCAR Pinty series, and it affected him mentally as well. You know, that was a really hard hit.
street circuit in the NASCAR Pinty Series. The 47 of LB Dumoulin, he's won at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. He's always been in contention, but you're right, it was a tough lick in Newfoundland for the 47 team. They've come back, they've sort of caught their breath, but you're right, they're looking to turn their season back around in a positive direction here today.
One team that did not travel east was Sam Fellows, that number 98. He's got a great starting spot here today. Look for big things out of the red and white Curb Records 98. Sam's father, Ron Fellows, will be up on top of wherever they spot from here. I believe down in turn number 1. He will be the voice in the sky for Sam Fellows.
I saw on social media, actually, Ron took Sam around this track, gave him some last-minute pointers yesterday to show him just some tricks of the trade, because when you have a Hall of Famer for a dad, it's always good to have him as a coach as well and maybe give a few extra pointers. But we're seeing a lot of drivers, too, inside the top 10. Some drivers that we haven't seen a lot of in 2022. LP Montour in the 13. He qualified 6th. That's a bit of a surprise. Because he's only run a couple other starts in the NASCAR Pinty Series. Alex Gannett, the number 39, he's a veteran of the series, but not necessarily in 2022. This is his very first start this season. And Daniel Bois, the 31, just the second time he's been behind the wheel of a NASCAR Pinty Series stock car, and he'll start 10th.
It's one of the fun things about this series is you have drivers who are looking to win a points championship where you have to be conservative. You have to be there at the end of the season. We've got a bunch of drivers here in the top 10. They don't care about points. They are here to finish on the podium today. 35 laps, they're here to get it done. Some of them may not race again this season. For the most part, we'll see some of them out at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Usually if they commit to it, they'll commit to CTMP and Toronto. But folks, we are ready to go racing. Andrew Ranger in the GM Paillet number 27. LB Dumoulin of the WeatherTech 47. Look at the field bunch up as they snake their way towards the home straightaway and the start-finish line, where Ralph Shepard, the honorary flagman, will be waiting to give the green flag. What a beautiful sight, race fans. Ranger in the 27, Dumoulin in the 47. The green flag is out on the Grand Prix of Toronto. One of the biggest races of this, moments of this race is always the charge down into turn number 1. Great job by the front few rows to get things sorted out. Everybody looking for racing room and grabbing a gear.
Here's what's unique about the stock cars on the streets of Toronto, as the back end hangs out through corner number 2 as they set sail down the back straightaway for the first time. Turn 3 is a great passing opportunity. And it looks like Tagliani alongside the 47 of LB Dumoulin. Kevin Lacroix is going to poke his nose in there as well.
It was a well-defended move by Dumoulin. He lost the second spot, but nice job to keep the third spot. Kevin Lacroix back to 4th. Gary Kloot settles into 5th in the 59. All of the top 5 are points racers in the series, but then we've got the wild card. Alex Gannett in the 39. A good start to be up in that 6th spot.
Remember, though, the 59 and the 74 do have a history on road courses. The last time these cars were turning left and right, Kloot was the leader going into the last corner, and it was the 74 who actually knocked him out of the way and into the wall. So does Gary Kloot remember that, as we got a problem already on the 66 of Wallace Stacey.
Wallace Stacey a little bit slow out on the racetrack, and we are under a full course yellow. And this was a concern coming into this race. Wallace Stacey and Glenn Stiers, I believe, involved in the 0. A couple of old buddies sat beside each other at the autograph session.
They may not be as buddy-buddy tomorrow, as the nose completely knocked off the front end of the Bullies truck stock number 66. He's got a cut right front tire, does Wallace Stacey. He'll find pit lane, but there's fiberglass laying on the racetrack.
You see debris, I see a souvenir for some lucky fan later on.
That would be a good one, actually. You could put it up on your wall.
I used to do it when the ASA series had come to Cayuga Speedway back in the day. I had chunks of Dick Trickle's car and Bob Seneker's car. Wallace Stacey along pit road, and the Bullies truck stop number 66. They're having a hard time getting that car lifted into the air, even to get the jack under it. Well, have a look at this replay. You're going to have to look at the top of the screen. Oh, Glenn Stiers comes up out of the corner and across the nose of Wallace Stacey in the 66.
That was off of turn number 1, heading for turn number 2, and it looks like Stacy might have got a little bit loose under acceleration as well. They did make contact, but I don't think he made contact with the wall. It was the 0 that knocked the nose off the Bullies Truck Stop Chevrolet.
And that's usually the case. I wouldn't have crashed if it wasn't for the other car starting to crash right in front of me. Their crash took me out.
But here's the thing, is now the crew is going to try and get all that fiberglass tucked in, get as much tape on it as possible, because it's a big parachute right now.
The advantage is, though, get the fiberglass off. You get a lot of cooling on your front brakes and your front tires, so that they want to pull as much off as they can. You can't have hanging body panels, but you have to have that ductwork accessible to cool the engine, get it through the radiator, and cool the front tires and cool the brakes.
Interesting you say that too, because if you walk through the paddock a little bit earlier on today with the hoods up on the race cars, you can see 4 hoses going from the nose of these cars to the brakes, trying to get as much cooling air to those brake rotors as they can, keep those temperatures down. But you're right, with no nose, you don't need hoses. You've got just one big opening.
There was a lot of rhymes in there, Dave. That was little Dr. Seuss, little Al Sharpton.
Well, you know. It looks like Stacy is back out. He will lose a lap, though, as the leader has gone through under caution.
So down 1 lap to the field as well as Stacy. Now, they're going to have to revert to the previous lap. Marc-Antoine Cameron was penalized. They never put their qualifying tires on. You have to put official qualifying tires on your car. And then you have to qualify with those tires, and then you have to start the race with those tires. Marc-Antoine Cameron did not, and that is a penalty, and it cost him from starting 5th spot. He goes all the way back to start 25th.
Yeah, the number 9 of Brandon Watson. During practice qualifying, it was a combined session earlier on this afternoon. That number 9 towards the back of the pack. Of course, he's leading the Jostens Rookie of the Year race here in the NASCAR Pinty Series in 2022. But that car had a very significant problem with the power plant. There's 2 large inspection holes where there shouldn't be inspection holes right through the block of that car. But the crew went to work, pulled the old motor out, dropped a new one in, so he's back in this one. He's currently listed as 21st after starting last in the field.
Brandon Watson's a very calculated race car driver. He's raced all over the United States and Canada in late models, super late models, various forms of stock cars, but all on oval tracks. He's cutting his teeth on these road courses. But what we've found with this series, if you're a good racer, you're a good racer.
Yeah.
You figure it out.
Yeah, some of these drivers will just jump in a car and feel comfortable right away, and that's you kind of get that impression from a driver like Brandon Watson. He's not really worried about it. The first time, or when he was at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, I asked him, when was the last time you turned left and right? He said, probably when I was in go-karts at maybe 14 years old. So it's a long way back to try and remember what you need to do, but it does come back very quickly. Speaking of go-karts, though, the 18 of Alex Tagliani's been spending a lot of time behind the wheel of Rotax-powered karts and shifter karts as well. That helps keep him sharp, even for the NASCAR Pinty Series. I mean, you got to think a kart is so much lighter, so much more power to weight ratio than a NASCAR Pinty Series, but it's all racing, it's all seat time, and it's all practice.
It's about reflexes, it's about repetition, being able to hit your marks. So any practice is good practice. As we look up and down through this grid, the thing I love about the NASCAR Pinty Series, it's a proving ground for a lot of racers, a lot of people to launch their racing careers, but it's also a place where someone like Alex Tagliani can extend their racing career. Andrew Ranger, Alex Tagliani, DJ Kennington, a career Canadian stock car racer. We have a bit of everything. Yeah,
DJ Kennington started in the Daytona 500. I mean, he has gone down to the U.S. and done some pretty great things. He's run a full season in what is now the NASCAR Xfinity Series as well, but he always comes back to the NASCAR Pinty Series and has made this one his home behind the wheel of that Castrol Edge Dodge, the number 17, and he's always a threat to win. He's always a threat for the championship as well.
He's the only driver to have never missed a NASCAR Pinty Series race. Since the inception in 2007, DJ Kennington has competed in every race with the Castrol Edge. partnership on that race car.
It's a great partnership. They've had a lot of great luck with it. And it's more of a family agreement right now, as DJ will tell you. He's like, it's no longer business and partner. It's just we're family and we're moving forward. So you can see hand out the window from Brandon Watson. He's trying to get some air in. He might be signaling to the 96 to go by. But
well, I'll tell you, here's a little bit of inside baseball. When they got their hand out the window with all of their fingers extended, it's good. They just want some air in the car. Hand out the window with one finger extended, it's either great job or great job.
You've driven a race car, so you've seen that.
I have seen many things. Lights are out on the cop car. We're going to go back to green. We are on lap number 4. The race is scheduled for 35 laps, and trust me, none of these drivers want to see restarts. Even though it's opportunity for a lot of these racers, the opportunity for catastrophe is much greater than the opportunity to pick up some spots. So all these drivers are going to be a little white-knuckled, but we're going to light them up again here as Wallace Stacy goes screaming past our position. And the field is on its way to the restart. Outside, Kevin Lacroix looks to the inside of Alex Tagliani down into turn 1. Ranger gets loose under braking. They're side by side.
And they'll stay that way into turn number 2. It's Dumoulin up on the outside. Ranger now will take over top spot in the 27 as they head down Lakeshore Boulevard. So it is Ranger now, Dumoulin and Lacroix side by side. Move Lacroix up into second spot.
Kevin Lacroix with a great aggressive start alongside LP Dumoulin. Look at that car wiggle under braking.
And look at Dumoulin up on the outside, a heavy brake maneuver to try and get up alongside the ESR wheels. Number 74 couldn't quite make it stick. He'll slot back into third position, but a great try here in the early laps from the driver of the 47.
We've seen drivers make passes almost everywhere around this racetrack, but there are preferred spots. Turn 1, turn 3. Dexter Stacy going around the 20th. Trayton Lapsevich out there for position. Anytime a driver slips, there is going to be opportunity, and I just saw one at the top of the screen. Somebody got off the pace, and we'll see if anything became of it, but Andrew Ranger looks like he's going to lead here at the stripe, but Kevin Lacroix applying the pressure.
Here we go into turn number 1. Lacroix to the inside. New race leader, and it's the ESR wheels, number 74 of Kevin Lacroix. The 27 of Andrew Ranger will slide back into second spot. Those two drivers now with a bit of a gap on the rest of the field. That all started through 8, 9, and 10. The 27 of Ranger got a little bit loose, and the 74 of Lacroix pounced.
Andrew Ranger is a driver who will settle into second place for a little while. Kevin Lacroix, if he's got a car fast enough to lead a race, he is going to get to the lead. Andrew Ranger, he's a veteran these days. He'll settle back in second and size things up as long as he's not feeling too much pressure from behind. I believe we're going to see Ranger just shadow Kevin Lacroix for a little while.
Have a look at the rookie stripe on the 13 of LP Montour, currently sitting in 5th place, pressuring the 18 of Alex Tagliani. Montour, a veteran of the Trans Am series. He's running the TCR class behind the wheel of a Volkswagen. Now he loses a couple spots as the 59 of Kloot goes by, as does the 39 of Alex Gannett.
Matthew Scannell in that 99 right behind them. He's feeling the pressure right now. He's by our position one more time. Kevin Lacroix by a couple of car lengths. Things are starting to settle in. These drivers have get into a rhythm.
And this is where things sort of start to settle down a little bit. You see the entire field essentially single file as everybody follows in the tire tracks and the car in front of them, except for Marc-Antoine Cameron, who has a bit in his teeth, and he is trying to make up as many places as he can. Now up to 16th position.
Holy moly, Dexter Stacy just sailed it into turn number 3.
going to make it stick. 2 in the 92. They might make contact. Him and the 17, DJ Kennington, are still side by side.
Close quarters racing out there between Stacy and Kennington. That was an oh my gosh moment, as Stacy keeping the pressure applied on veteran DJ Kennington. What a battle. Peter Kloot right behind them in the number 6. If a hole opens up, he's going to take it as well.
Well, Stacy got a taste of success at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, finishing on the podium in 3rd, and here he goes back to the inside, and this time he'll make that pass stick.
Peter Kloot tries to find room as well, but he had to get back to single file. The top 6 have pulled away just a little bit. What fun racing to watch out here. Drivers coming up through the field. DJ Kennington under attack again. This time by Peter Kloot in the 6th. Narrowly avoided contact there down into turn number 1. Now it's the long Lakeshore Boulevard leading towards turn number 3, where there's the heaviest braking.
And you can see the back end of the GM Paillet number 96 of your points leader, and now he ducks out the outside around the 1 of JP Bergeron. The 96 of Marc-Antoine Cameron continues to march forward.
Brandon Watson isn't doing too badly. He's a couple of spots behind Cameron, but he's been on the march as well. But Marc-Antoine Cameron, he's on a mission right now in that 96 machine. It doesn't help when your partner sat on the pole and is running in the 2nd spot. He's got to get up there and represent as well. DJ Kennington, it's curious, he's really running a wide arc into a lot of turns. It's leaving him exposed on entry to a lot of the corners.
Some of the drivers taking a little bit different lines into turn number 1, fanning out at times and then getting back in line. The track really does help these race cars as they make their way around this track, as Cameron picks up yet another spot.
You know, you watch these drivers who have been in close quarters, elbows up the whole race. Then you've got other drivers like Sam Bellows in the 98, just kind of found a pocket that he could run in out there, turn some laps. They don't pay the money until the final lap as Brandon Watson goes around Ray Jr. Quartermage down into turn number 3. So some of these drivers really doing a nice job saving their stuff.
The GMS RTC Group number 9 also moving up from his tail of the field starting spot. There is your pole sitter in the Paillet Chevrolet number 27, Andrew Ranger, currently sitting 2nd behind the 74. Man from Saint Eustache, Quebec, is Kevin Lacroix, who leads. Gap a little bit on 2nd spot. He's starting to pull away. Oh, we got a car into the wall. Turn 11. The number 13 of LP Montour touched the wall right at the Honda side and carried on, but it was a pretty good hit.
You'll watch him for the next lap or 2 to see if any damage. I was watching Gary Kloot closing in on Alex Tagliani. Let's see if Kloot tries to make a move down into turn 3. He is in striking position in that 59 machine.
There is a little bit of a bump on the inside of turn number 11 that could possibly have caught the driver of the 13 out, as it just shifted the weight off the right rear and it just got it a little bit loose and slid up into the wall for LP Montour. But man, things are picking up deep in the field as Cameron and Kloot go side by side in through turn number 3. You saw Dexter Stacy in there
as well. He might not have made it. Did they come out of the turn?
I don't think they did.
Wallace Stacy getting out of the way, out of harm's way there. I did not see the 96 or the 6 after we saw them side by side battling the racing room. Sounded like a missed shift on the front straightaway. Here goes Kevin Lacroix by our position. We're going to anxiously await.
There it is, you're right. Damage on the left front corner of the 96 to Marc-Antoine Cameron.
And we have yet to see the number 6 of Peter Kloot. There's Kloot. He lost a couple of spots and a lot of track position as Marc-Antoine Cameron makes it down pit road.
driver who was your points leader coming into this event. Have another look if you can see one of the big screens. There's the contact. Looks like Cameron got in too hot. It wiggled, and that's where the contact was made.
Yeah, he lost control, puts Peter up into the outside wall where Peter has to basically just drop the anchor and wait until he can go again. Nice bit of driving by Peter Kloot.
Yeah.
That's all that was. Cameron getting too hot into the corner.
And made some contact with the tire wall, did Peter Kloot as well. A full course caution, though, for that driver. Not connected to this incident between the 96 and the 6, but it does come as very good news for Marc-Antoine Cameron.
We heard last time coming down the front straightaway, Glenn Stiers either missed a shift or lost a gear in that zero machine, revved it up. So the things you run the risk of doing there is ripping the transmission out of the car or the rear end or blowing the engine. If you miss a shift and hit the gas, it'll rev up pretty quick, and the components inside these engines don't like that.
A couple of other drivers having some issues today as well, include the 84 of Larry Jackson. He stopped along pit lane. Brian Cathcart has made a couple of stops in the 71 as well. So all those drivers one or several laps down. As of right now, though, Marc-Antoine Cameron still on the lead lap. Dead last of any lead lap car, though.
So much work. He was putting in the time. He was making hard passes out there, and he got himself close to the top 10. He's going to have to set up and do it all over again with brakes a little bit older, tires a little bit older.
Well, he's got at least one good tire. He got the emergency tire because he cut one down, so that'll be a fresh one or fresher. But is that enough?
We just don't know, Dave.
That's why we run the races and don't just talk about them. You can see the tire marks as the 96 makes his way around the track to try and tack on to the lead group.
Marc-Antoine Cameron came into today's event as Brandon Watson has found a runoff area. Not sure what would have happened there to the 9 machine. Marc-Antoine Cameron is leading the points. He comes in with a 10-point lead. I don't think he's going to leave with a 10-point lead.
No, especially since the man who is leading this race currently in the 74, Kevin Lacroix, was 10 points back of the 96 of Marc-Antoine Cameron. But stranger things have happened. We have seen some fiery finishes in the NASCAR Pinty series, usually coming in the last lap or two, so you don't want to go away.
No, we've had some exciting finishes, but what we need to focus on is another restart. We're going to stack the field up again. Every time there's a restart, these drivers, you have to race with two minds at the same time. One, pick up a spot if there's a spot to be picked up. Or two, and we saw it with LP Dumoulin, it looked like he was the aggressor making a move, but very quickly you become, uh-oh, not only did I not get the lead, I just lost second place as well. I've got to find a spot I can slide into line.
So it looks like the 13, we mentioned LP Montour made contact with the wall on the exit of turn 11. Looks like that car seems to be okay. All of those general tires still holding air as Montour continues to make his way around under pace laps. But if you look at the latter half of the top 10, you've got names like Daniel Bois sitting in 8th. You've got Matthew Scannell in the 99 sitting in 9th. Dexter Stacey in 10th place, and then Sam Fellows in 11th. Those are some of the drivers that we haven't really seen mixing it up at the front of the field yet in 2022. We knew that they have it in them, but they just haven't had the luck roll their way to get up there.
No, for sure. But what we're seeing them do over the course of the first number of laps of this race is building confidence. They're on lap 13. Every lap you stay in the top 10. They go, okay, Daniel Bois, for example. He said, I didn't know where to shift. I didn't know where to brake. He says, by about the third lap, I had it figured out approximately where I needed to be. But he will fine-tune that. He's a student of the sport. He's a driver coach. We have a number of driver coaches in the field, and they just study what's going on, and they will have learned in this time. So we're going to see a couple drivers be real aggressive, putting to work what they learned.
Some drivers also using online capabilities as well, going on iRacing to try and figure out this track before getting here. With it being a temporary street circuit, it's not like you can bring the race car out and do practice laps on a random Tuesday as you can at a permanent road course, because the local constabulary will be awfully angry with you if you start flying down Lakeshore Boulevard, especially in the opposite direction. But it is a sort of a level playing field for everybody, because you come here, you have to learn quickly, you have a quick practice session qualifying, and then you're into the race.
Did you notice what's on the schedule for tonight around midnight?
I didn't.
Track scanning.
Oh, that's interesting. So iRacing is going to get a new track maybe very shortly.
An updated Toronto Indy, which is pretty exciting stuff. Racing simulation, and you see different spots around the facility. I know at the Toronto Hotel there, they had a simulator down in the lobby. It's amazing what they've done with technology, and a lot of these drivers do take advantage of that.
Yeah, Trayton Lapsevich, another driver who uses iRacing and uses online racing, and actually helps other drivers with online setups and such. But not only does he do that, he also races a late model on oval tracks as well. So these drivers don't just race in the NASCAR Pinty series. They generally get their feet wet in a number of different categories as well.
No, you're absolutely right. Get off your phone, James. You're at a race. I'd be on my phone too. You got timing and scoring. You've got live feeds to look at.
That's the beauty of it, right? You can get all the information in the palm of your hand while you're here under caution.
What a great crowd. Thank you so much to the fans for sticking around. I hope you're entertained. It's been great, hard racing, clean racing at the front. A couple of drivers have been out there mixing it up, and I think there's a lot more to come.
Well, you talked a little bit about restarts and how, yeah, there's an opportunity to gain some positions, but there's a bigger opportunity to lose a lot more. And you'll see some of the drivers now trying to keep their cars are weaving back and forth. They're trying to keep as much heat in those tires as they possibly can, because you don't want to head down into turn number 1 with cold general tires, because it's just not going to stick, and your day could end pretty quickly.
It's a treacherous time. I mean, Kevin Lacroix, we saw him stay in line on the first start. The next one, he was on the outside. He didn't let Tagliani, but Tagliani out-pulled him at the start. He immediately fell into line and then attacked on the inside. So a lot of lane changing, a lot of aggressive moves. Here we look at the curb records. Number 98 is Sam Fellows. That's a clean race car, not a mark on that 98. He's doing the job right now that he needs to do.
He'll be pretty happy with this run so far, but if I know Sam Fellows, he'll be wanting a little bit more in that AER Chevrolet. And these are the races that Sam Fellows has circled on his calendar. He's the driver who has raced here in the past, as a matter of fact, in the Porsche GT3 Cup Series that ran here in years gone by. So he knows the track a little bit, but when you get behind the wheel of this car, it's so much different than anything else you've ever driven. That's something that new drivers to this series, no matter what their experience is, they get behind the wheel and they say it takes a little while to get the feel of this car, just to know how far you can push it, how far you can dive it into the corner. It is so much different. Not like a late model. Late models stick into the ground. Obviously, Formula cars, Porsches have engines in the back, so they handle a lot differently. But these cars are different. They're tricky to drive.
They're beasts.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the difference between riding a horse and riding a bull. Right? The result is the same. It's just a different way to go about it, different level of aggression. These are not a high-performance handling vehicle. They are a beast with lots of engine, and you really have to control them. There's a lot of work with your feet, a lot of dancing with your brake foot, your throttle foot, the steering input.
And that's the intention of the NASCAR governing body. They want to put it back in the hands of the driver. They don't want to work on aerodynamics, who has the best package that day, who has making the most downforce. They want to see the best driver on that given day in their equipment, who can make it work the best. And that is what the NASCAR Pinty Series is.
Man, I didn't even notice, and that was well said. You're absolutely right. I didn't notice Larry Jackson fell out of the race. A 25th place finish for the O'Neill Electric. eBay Motors Canada sponsored number 84. His day did not start well, and it did not end well, unfortunately.
Yeah, I saw a quick glimpse of him sitting along pit lane, but unfortunate for that driver. It's always got a smile on his face, very personable, is Larry Jackson, of course, a firefighter in nearby Oakville. And yeah, he's been with the series for a long time.
He has so. He's been in the sport for a long, long time. Believe started his racing career in the 1980s over at Flamborough Speedway just outside of Hamilton. And the drivers just don't stop. They don't stop scrubbing their tires. You want to keep the heat in them. You want to keep the debris off of them. So you're almost using the pavement under you as a brush to keep the tires clear.
Well, and that's the thing too, because your tires are up to temperature, they're hot. As a matter of fact, if you've never been around a race car that has just come off the racetrack and you touch the tire, it's actually quite hot to the touch, quite gummy.
Don't touch the tire.
No, don't touch the tire. You'll probably burn your hand. But what that does is, under these slower conditions, it picks up the rubber that's been laid down in the corner, and then you try and go into turn number 1 for the first time, and it's like rolling on ice. So that's why the drivers are weaving back and forth to try and keep those tires clean and, again, maintain that temperature.
Pace truck peels off the racetrack. Kevin Lacroix is the control car. Andrew Ranger just goes over to give him a little nudge. That was interesting, wasn't it? You don't see that very often.
Not under pace laps, but it's one way to form up as you come back to the green flag.
And you don't poke the bear.
Kevin Lacroix is pretty mild-mannered until he isn't.
Well said. Down towards turn number 1, a great start by Kevin Lacroix. He's up into the racing groove. Andrew Ranger right there behind. He takes a wider swing down into the turn with a good run onto Lakeshore Boulevard.
You can see what Ranger was trying to set up to do as a couple of other drivers get crossways. The 39 of Gannett fully crossways, trying to put the power down in his Ford Fusion. But Ranger was trying to get the momentum out of turn number 1 into turn number 2, and now here comes the 18, turn number 3, side by side with the 47.
They rub a little bit up through turn number 3, off to the exit, still side by side. That is not an easy place to go side by side. Brent Weller in the 61 has spun around, and it's blind right now what he's seeing, so he gets that car fired. He's going to spin it back around, find reverse. It's kind of like Austin Powers. Forward, backward. I believe we'll be able to stay under green.
There is some damage to the nose of the 64 of Mark Dilley as well, so possible contact either before or during that incident involving the 61 of Brent Weller and the Ryobi Rigid Dodge.
Coming back by our position, Andrew Ranger, a couple of car lengths off the leader, Kevin Lacroix, LP doing by himself. Looks like Jackson Stacy might have taken advantage of that restart and picked up a spot or two.
Things are getting tight at the front, though. The 59 of Gary Klug took a peek down underneath the Viagra Saint-Hubert, number 18 of Alex Tagliani. Had to back out at the last minute. Tagliani closed the door in turn number 1 after the 47 WeatherTech Dodge did complete that pass during the last lap.
I'll tell you who lost some spots on that restart is Sam Fellows in the 98. He's all the way down to the 15th spot as we see Dexter Stacy slinging that car side by side alongside LP Montour, and the 13 Stacy is flying.
And that 13 car not handling as well as it did early in this race. He's now come back into a battle with the number 20 of Trayton Lapsevich.
I think he had some help in not handling very well, and I think he's going to thank the 92 of Dexter Stacy for the problem that he had.
He threw it in a ton. Turn number 8, he just saw a small opening and went for it. Did LP Montour and got that position back.
You know, gasoline is a great racing fuel, but anger adds a couple of horsepower. We're going to keep watching this battle right now with LP Montour and Dexter Stacy.
Now have another look at what happened to Weller, and it was the 64 of Mark Dilley on the inside. Cameron was in there too, right behind the 61, but that contact between the 64 Leland Chevrolet and the 61 of Weller, that's what sent him around.
Dexter Stacy again with the nose inside. LP Montour, they'll be side by side off of turn 3. I don't think that's going to work for very long. Montour regains the position. He's got to be frustrated because he's spending so much time playing defense. He can't move forward and battle with Alex Gannett.
He's just taking a little different line than anybody else. He sort of dangles that carrot for Dexter Stacy in the Bullies truck stop number 92. He opens the door. Stacy's like, well, if it's there, I'm going to take it. And he dives in, and then all of a sudden the door closes. Dexter Stacy is being super aggressive. He's really running offline, using up some tires and brakes on that 92 to try to make moves. As you look at TJ Kennedy putting the pressure on Matthew Scannell. It's almost like a burlesque show with Wallace Stacy.
Every lap he takes a little bit more of the body work off.
Whoa, we got another car up into the wall almost. JP Bergeron, yeah, the only Ford Mustang in the field. If he caught the wall, it was just a little bit, but he was battling with the 96 of Marc-Antoine Cameron. There you see some debris down the back straightaway, and I believe that came from the 64 of Mark Dilley.
That'll blow away.
Now you can see the front end is completely broken up on the Leland number 64 of Dilley, so he'll find his pit stall. No caution, though. We remain under green.
Andrew Ranger starting to put the pressure on Kevin Lacroix, closing in some of these corners. And all he'd be doing right now is filling the rear view mirror. He wants Kevin to have to look behind him as much as he can, because whenever you're looking behind you in a race car, you're not focused on what's coming up ahead.
But he can't rattle Kevin Lacroix, no matter how much you try, unless you start roughing him up a little bit. Then he gets a little angry at times, but oh, we got problems for the 9 of Brandon Watson into the tire wall. That's turn number 8.
He just rearranged the tire wall a little bit. He'll get going once again. He's got a tire rub. Oh, that was handy. It happened right at the pit entrance. They'll head down pit road. And we are under a full course yellow, so I believe what might have brought out that yellow was the fact that the tire wall got moved, exposed some bare concrete. Let's have a look.
You can see Watson just getting it a little hot, the back end stepping out under a downshift and straight into the end of that tire wall. Luckily, it was a tire wall and not concrete there.
Is it any coincidence Marc-Antoine Cameron had just gotten behind him? And as we said with the leader, Kevin Lacroix, as soon as you glance into your mirror, everything happens so quickly in a race car, you get into a rhythm. You look in the mirror, you wreck your rhythm. You've just shaken yourself a little bit. It's like taking your eye off a baseball and trying to hit it. You have to keep your eye on the ball.
Well, think about it when you're driving in traffic on the highway and you know, there's cars all around you, and all of a sudden you look to the side for a second, and that's when traffic will slow up in front of you, and all of a sudden you have to panic. But it diverts your focus for just 1 second. And when you're driving at speed, you need to time your downshifts, time your braking points, and if you miss that by a fraction of a second, that's when things go wrong.
So we'll try to take you through the rundown. Timing and scoring is a little bit goofy right now, but we know Kevin Lacroix is the race leader in the 74. Andrew Ranger in the 27 runs second. LP Dumoulin is third in the 47. Fourth is Alex Tagliani rounding out the top 5. The 59 of Gary Clute. 6 through 10. 39 of Alex Gannett. The 13 of LP Montour. The 92 of Dexter Stacy. The 20 of Trayton Lapsevich. And the 31 of Daniel Bois. 11th on back is the 17 of DJ Kennington, 99 Matthew Scannell, 96 Marc-Antoine Cameron, the 1 of JP Bergeron, the 98 of Sam Fellows, the 8 of Ray Jr. Cordamont, the 2 of TJ Renamato, 61 of Brent Weller, the 9 of Brandon Watson. I didn't see if Watson made it out. Other than Brandon Watson, all of those cars, I'm sure, are on the lead lap. Watson, I'm not sure if he got out ahead of the pace car or not.
And as we mentioned earlier, a couple drivers who had some issues earlier on today. Wallace Stacy has been in and out of pit lane in the 66. Brian Cathcart in the 71 also has visited pit lane several times. Peter Clute made slight contact with the tire wall, but he was in for repairs, and he's now 9 laps down. Glenn Stiers in the Ohsweken 0 is 10 laps down after being pushed off the racetrack. with a stalled car, and the O'Neill Electric number 84 of Larry Jackson stopped on pit lane 15 laps down.
They're on lap 21 of 35, so this will be a pretty brief sprint to the finish. I have no reason to believe this will be our final yellow flag of the day, but we can be hopeful.
I love your positivity.
Glass half full, glass half empty. It's excitement.
But the thing is, we talked about patience in the early going of a race, and you want to save your equipment, and you don't want to go too hard because you'll burn off your brakes. But now, with 15 laps left to go, now is the time to go. Now what you've saved, it's time to use up.
Maybe. If you're LP Dumoulin, the 47, the 18 of Alex Tagliani, maybe you're still saving. Have they shown everything they have? You know, you just don't know. If you save and save, we've seen so many different endings. Someone come on like gangbusters. I'll tell you who has not saved anything, and that's Dexter Stacey in the 92. That is what 100% looks like, race fans.
He has been fun to watch all day, hasn't he?
Phenomenal. Made some great moves, some aggressive moves. He's not afraid to stick it in there. He's not afraid when they come back and pass him back again. He'll just wind up and give it another attempt. Your poor piece of fiberglass on the back straightaway.
Now it's about 3 pieces of fiberglass because it appears as though it's been hit maybe a few times. But the cleanup crew going to head out and tidy that one up before we go back to green. So we continue under caution, as Wallace Stacey will be given the free pass, I believe, as he's lining up, heading up to the front of the field.
I think he might have been a little premature in passing the pace truck, but it's got to feel good to pass an OPP cruiser with their lights on, right? You can't take that away from somebody.
You know, you get the opportunity, you have to take it, because it's not coming back again. But you look at some of these drivers inside the top 10 in striking distance, and you have to look at the 39 of Alex Gannett. Now, that last restart did not go the way that the driver, the Moto Limité number 39, had planned. He's driving a car out of the Dave Jacobs shop, so it's a well-prepared piece. Remember, Alex Labbe currently races in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He won a championship with Dave Jacobs. Alex Gannett currently sitting in 6th position. Not a mark on that car, so keep an eye on that one as well.
No, it's looking good for sure. Most of these cars up near the front have remained unscathed so far.
Yeah, the 59 of Peter Kloot coming, Gary Kloot coming with a brand new sponsor on board that car as well. Ace Hill Beverages coming on for the Grand Prix of Toronto. He's given them a good run, sitting inside the top 5 currently.
Always fun when we see new partners come to the racetrack, whether it's an event sponsor or a sponsor on a car.
Looks like the 20 of Lapsevich there. You can see the nose of Lapsevich does have a little piece of that. It appears as though that is the driver who hit the fiberglass that was sitting on the back straightaway, making it go from 1 piece of fiberglass to 3 pieces. But some of it is still hanging on to the front grille. Now, we laugh about that and say it's kind of funny. He won't be liking when his temperature gauge starts to creep a little bit higher because it's blocking off about a quarter of that opening.
And that's what these teams do to build heat in the engines. They'll run tape over part of the opening. On a day like today, you won't have much tape at all because you want as much air to that radiator as you can get. Let's watch for the 20 machine. There he comes now. It looks like it is mostly off to the side of where the opening is, but it's there. Now, I didn't look. Is Mike Hennig driving the OPP car? So we have a Pace vehicle driver. Mike Hennig has been doing it for years. Would he be allowed to drive a police cruiser?
I don't think you are. I just have a feeling that it must be an OPP officer. I don't think they just hand the keys over to everybody.
He looks like a cop.
He does.
Like if you saw him pull up beside you.
He makes a great NASCAR official because standing in the pits, if he comes up to your pit, you know you've done wrong.
He's a fabulous human being. Mike Hennig is a great guy. Been around a long, long time with the series. We've traveled the country with him for years. And he does a great job.
A restart wasn't kind to the number 98 of Sam Fellows. We talked about him during the last caution period. What a great drive he was having in that AER number 98. He finds himself now back into 15th position, so he didn't quite get the jump that he needed, sitting just outside the top 10 last time. Several cars went by before he could settle back into his rhythm.
You have to be aggressive. Even if you want to just hold your position, Dave, you can't be complacent on the restart. You have to get aggressive as though you're going to make a move, even to defend your spot. So, and I didn't see what happened to Sam Fellows there. So it's unfortunate because he has speed to be a top 10 car, and he could get back up to the top 10. But as you say, the restart did not go his way. And
the problem is now caution laps keep ticking down, the laps remaining. So for the drivers to make a last splash, a last dash for cash in this race, the timeline is starting to slip away from them.
There you go again. The last. We are not on the last sprint to the finish.
I think we might be.
Even under green, I think they ride. It'll be 11 laps to go when we get this restart. I think you start your sprint to the finish with 5 laps to go.
All right.
That's a third of the race, 11 laps.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. But I think it's starting now. The temperature is starting to pick up. It's time to get going.
If you're in the front 3 rows, you're in position. If you're not in the front 3 rows and you think you have a top 5 car, you got to go.
Yeah.
Right now, you got to go. You got to make some moves. But I do think if you're Dumoulin, if you're Alex Tagliani in the 18, you're still all right. Let these two lions at the front sort out their battle.
And they will.
Daniel Bois fanning out to the outside.
Love that land rush start into turn number 1. Some contact there between the 59 and the 18 as Tagliani got a little bit crossways. Now he's got a rear bumper filled with the 59 of Gary Clute.
How about Alex Gannett in that 39? He's battling for the 3rd spot out there as they race down Lakeshore Boulevard. How's it going to shake out? LP Dumoulin, now we say aggression for Alex Gannett. Now he's hung up on the outside. Dumoulin. Who's that right behind Dumoulin?
Daniel Bois in the 31. What a shock to see him up there inside the top 5 again. The hole opened up and the 31 filled it. Now he'll tuck in behind the 39 of Alex Gannett. So a couple unlikely names at the front of the field. Not ones we thought we'd see up there at this point in the race.
It goes against conventional thinking to pass to the outside on a restart. Daniel Bois fanned out 3 wide to the outside. He was outside of the top 10 at one point coming to the green. Now he's racing for a 5th spot. So he obviously got a great turn 1, big run down the Lakeshore Boulevard, and he made the most of it.
Oh, problems for the 92 of Dexter Stacy into the tire wall in turn number 8. And what an end to a great day for the 92 as he tries to refire, still under green, no caution yet, but he can't quite pull away from that tire barrier in turn number 8.
I'll bet I know how he got there. I'll bet you the battling with the 13 was so intense. I will bet you when we have a look at this replay and Dexter Stacy, the car quit on him again. He's able to get it refired to head on to pit road. What a heartbreaker for Stacy in the 92, but I'll bet you it was his battle with the 13 of Montour that led him astray.
You might be right. They've been going at it so hard as a 31 of Daniel Bois. Turn number 3 will pick up another spot and mark Daniel Bois into 4th position now.
A little bit of bumping between Gannett and Gary Clute. They get that sorted out. It's a nice thing about stock cars. It's how you assert your position. Rub a little bit. Let's have a look at this replay. Yeah, I think LP Montour might have assisted Dexter into that turn, but that is pure speculation.
If you look at the replay, we just caught the end of it. By that time, the 92 was already crossways and into the tire wall as Daniel Bois visits the same fate, brushing by that tire barrier that stuck out in turn number 8.
Alex Tagliani did not get a good restart there. He's out of the top 5. Right now, the top 3 all together. They've got a gap of about 20 car lengths. But look at this pack behind them from 8 on back. It's Alex Tagliani trying to hold off an angry mob of race cars.
Look at DJ Kennington trying to work his way up inside the top 10 now as he battles with the 20 of Trayton Lapsevich. They'll settle out and go single file now down Lakeshore Boulevard. Now Gannett in the 59 of Clute. Gannett is so close as the rest of the field comes filtering through turn number 3, but we're watching this battle for 4th position. Gannett has it, Clute wants it, and they are close. Actually, Clute has it, Gannett wants it.
They both want it.
Oh, everybody wants it.
Oh, Dexter Stacy. He wanted to see the scene of the crime again. Oh, right in front of the race leader, Kevin Lacroix. Dexter Stacy gets that car fired. That could have been bad.
He goes back down pit lane and will seek the attention of his crew, but you're right. Look at the gap is now closed between the top two. 74 of Lacroix still in control of the 27 of Ranger, tucked up in behind, and look at the 47 LP Finlay not too far behind. It's a 3-car race at the front of the field.
We saw Marc-Antoine Cameron closing into battle with the 31 of Daniel Bois. As we take a look, Bois got up into the tire wall. So he lost some ground there, battling with the 39 of Alice Gannett. That was actually a nice save by Daniel Bois.
Yeah.
He's had some moments in the last couple of laps. At the front, the top 3 right together, Gary Clute and Alice Gannett are actually closing in. We could have a 5-car train at the front. DJ Kennington looking to move to the inside of Matthew Scannell in the 99. And I think Scannell might have got caught looking in the mirror there. He missed his mark going into turn 3 and opened the door for Kennington.
So now tucked into the draft is the 27 and the 74. He is filling that mirror is Andrew Ranger in the 27 behind the 74 of Kevin Lacroix.
And Andrew Ranger is cutting every corner just a little bit tighter than the 74. He's taking risks out there to keep pace with the race leader.
So it looks like Clute has separated from the 39 of Alex Gannett in that battle for 4th and 5th. So he's separated by about a second now between the 59 and the 39, 4th and 5th. But really, the race we're watching is the lead trio, the 74, the 27, and the 47.
This is the cream of the crop. These are 3 elite road course racers, and they're putting on a show. Andrew Ranger looked to the inside. He knew he wasn't going to make a pass going into turn 3, but he wants Kevin Lacroix to look. Where did Andrew go? Why is he not in my line?
Trying to make him think and trying for that misstep, hoping Kevin Lacroix maybe breaks a little bit too late, misses his mark just a little bit, and opens that door that the 27 can drive through.
Gary Clute right now is the fastest car on the racetrack. He turned the fastest lap last time, a couple tenths of a second quicker than the trio ahead of him. He's got a lot of ground to make up. He needs those 3 to mix it up just a little bit, and then hope opportunity is going to knock for him. Andrew Ranger wagging the tail on that 27 machine, but he's keeping pace with the leader.
I wouldn't be surprised, and Cameron visits the tire wall in turn number 8, and he pulls the tires out onto the racing surface. This could be a caution, because those tires are far enough out into the racing line that may require a full course caution.
It definitely could be. The lights are on the post track, but I don't know. I believe they've been on the whole time. We're still under green as Matthew Scannell trying to defend a move from DJ Kennington and go on the offensive with Marc-Antoine Cameron just ahead.
Remember Cameron in turn number 8 several years ago while leading, and he was just tucked up in behind the 31, got out into the loose stuff outside the racing line, and the back end came around. A pretty good save once again, but this time he hooked the tires and pulled them out with him.
Scannell looking to the inside of Cameron down the back straightaway. Can't quite get there. Almost made some contact going into 3. Phenomenal battle there as they work through the tight part of this racetrack. You really don't want to be side by side.
No, and Scannell is not a driver that you will generally see lay a nose on another driver to make up a position, not unless it fully counts. I mean, anybody would do that to your own grandmother if it's for a race win. You'll put a bumper on them at the very least to try it, but Scannell won't do it, not in that situation.
The top 3 nose to sail. Gary Clute still trying to close that gap. Down into turn number 1, Kevin Lacroix leading. He's got 1 car length advantage, but Gary Clute is second quickest that lap. Alex Tagliani, the fastest on the racetrack, but Gary Clute, he's within 2 seconds of the lead.
You know what's interesting about the 59 who has set sail and he is coming is that he's cut 0.7 of a second out of that race lead in just the last 2 laps. Now he still has about 2 seconds to make up, but as you mentioned, if they start mixing it up at the front of the field, that gap will close very, very quickly, and the H-Hill Beverages New Tech Wood number 59 of Gary Clute will be right there.
What a race we're seeing. What a treat this afternoon. Kevin Lacroix got to the lead fairly early on. Andrew Ranger dropped back to second, but he has been right there between 1 car length and about 5 car lengths behind the race leader. Never really much further behind than that. Right in position.
Just watching the back end of the 27 dance as he works through turn numbers 9 and 10, now into turn 11 and onto the front straightaway. 1, 2, 3. They're covered by a blanket and a short space back to 4th spot. And Gary Clute is the 47 WeatherTech Dodge of Dumoulin. Took a peek to the inside of the 27.
That was the best lap with Kevin Lacroix's turn in the last number of laps. Alex Tagliani has now become the fastest car on the racetrack, but he's over 5 seconds behind. He is really not in position to make that move, so Kevin Lacroix really starting to flex his muscle with 5 to go.
And you can see the 47 of Dumoulin is now in the shadow of the 27 as they work their way through turn number 3 and 4. He wasn't quite close enough to make a move in turn number 3. He poked out to the outside and decided to follow, but keep an eye on that battle for second as the leader gets into lap traffic, and that's going to cost him some time. Wallace Stacy in that stricken number 66 again to the outside, trying to leave space, but it's so tight here.
Wallace doing a really good job out there in the 66 to not affect the outcome of this race, getting well out of the way, so a great job by the rookie driver in the number 66 machine as the leaders come by. It'll be 4 laps to go. Kevin Lacroix leads by 3 car lengths.
Again, the leader is about 0.6 of a second ahead of the 27 of Andrew Ranger as that Pinty Chevrolet number 27 dances through turn number 2 and down Lakeshore Boulevard. Now the 47 a little bit too far back to take advantage of the heavy draft of the 27. It looks like Gary Clute has started to back off just a little bit. The gap back to your leader is 2.82 seconds, so it was just 2 seconds, not 3 laps ago.
Gary Clute, you know, he had to start his launch towards the front. Alex Tagliani with lots of body work hanging off the back of that number 18, but he's making good speed out there right behind Alex Canet. Tagliani would love a top 5 finish. Of course, he's won this race a couple of times.
I think the way the season has been going for the Viagra Saint-Hubert Chevrolet team, a top 5 would feel like a win for Alex Tagliani here today. He is the quickest car on the racetrack right now, but he's still almost 5.5 seconds back of your race leader.
None of these front runners are getting great grip out there. They're all sliding around just a little bit on the racetrack. Kevin Lacroix doing the best job of managing that grip right now as they look down towards turn number 1. 2 car lengths is the gap between Lacroix and Andrew Ranger. We are 1 mistake away from a big change in the running order as Brandon Watson finds himself into the tire barriers in that number 9.
Watson looks like he's been running a short track race in a GMS Sheer Metal Products number 9. The fender hanging off, and it looks like once again contact with the tire wall in turn number 8. He tried to save it and almost did, but couldn't.
Look what I almost did. Looks like they're pulling away just a little bit. Kevin Lacroix and Andrew Ranger. LP Dumoulin has dropped back just a few car lengths. He's just not quite able to keep pace with the race leaders. And the laps are winding down in this one, folks. Lacroix has basically run a perfect race. He has not bobbled. He has not made an error this whole time. But Andrew Ranger is as gifted as anybody we've ever had in this series, and he is keeping the pressure on. He's keeping the race leader honest.
Now, we've seen in the history of the NASCAR Pinty Series, we've seen these two drivers dice it up in the past, especially at the end of road and street circuits. So do not count out the 27 of Andrew Ranger. He is right now searching in his tool bag of tricks and looking to pull one out here in the final couple laps.
He is so, and Andrew Ranger, he's looking for anything he can do in that 27 machine to make the move. Tagliani closing in on Alex Gannett. He'll take a look to the inside in a battle for fifth.
Got up there right to the door, and Gannett will have no choice but to give up that position as Alex Tagliani moves into the top 5. And the NTN Fast Wheels number 18.
This time at the stripe, the leaders are going to see the white flag. Well, everyone's going to see the white flag, but it'll be one lap to go. Andrew Ranger's got to get up on the wheel. If he's got anything, now is the time to show it. Kevin Lacroix still leads the way. Ranger's there, a car length and a half behind the leader. The last lap, Ranger was a hair quicker.
And Ranger is coming. It looks like he is closing that gap. He's just a little bit tighter around some of these corners as the white flag waves. One more lap to go as they head down to turn number 1 for the final time.
One more time around Lacroix. It looked to me like he missed the entry of turn number 11. Andrew Ranger closing in, using up all that racetrack as they head down Lakeshore Boulevard.
Well, it looked like the gap had closed, but then at the start-finish line, it was actually Kevin Lacroix, the fastest car on the racetrack. So the 74 all by himself, heading down to turn number 3.
Down into 3 they go, under heavy braking, noses down on these race cars. Andrew Ranger right up to the back bumper of the 74 Lacroix.
Watch for turn number 8. That's really the last good place to try and make a move for Andrew Ranger, but will he be close enough to that Lacroix tuning number 74?
There's a slower car ahead. TJ Rinamato on the lead lap right now, but the leaders are approaching. Where is Kevin Lacroix going to catch that number 2? Does Rinamato know he's there? Yes, he does. He gets up well out of the way, leaving room for Andrew Ranger to mount his challenge.
Through the final set of corners, Ranger is trying every which way, fully crossways in turn number 10, but it's not enough off turn 11.
Kevin Lacroix down the home straightaway. Checkered flag is in the air. Kevin Lacroix wins the Grand Prix of Toronto. Andrew Ranger comes home second. LP Dumoulin comes home third. What a race.
Gary Clute, Alex Tagliani, Alex Gannett, Daniel Blanc, LP Montour, Marc-Antoine Cameron, and Trayton Lapsovich. That is your top 10 at the stripe.
Kevin Lacroix was up to the job today. Ranger put on the pressure. For those of you watching online, we're going to sign off, but it's time to head to Victory Lane for those of you entertaining.
For Kevin Lacroix, as he'll come around, give him a big wave, fans. He's got his window net down. He can see you. Give him a wave and a round of applause as he makes his way past where you have been watching today's race. But if they wrote textbooks on a street race, Kevin Lacroix would be an author today. Started near the front, made an early pass, getting around the 27 of Andrew Ranger, and that's where he stayed, fending off several challenges. You can see the unofficial results as they stand. LP Dumoulin finishing in 3rd spot. Gary Clute, Tagliani, Gannett. Tagliani making that pass in the final couple laps to seal the top 5 for the 18 team. Daniel Bois, after visiting the tire wall in the 31, salvages a 7th place finish. And then you can see the second half of the top 20, DJ Kennington, Matthew Scannell, JP Bergeron, Sam Fellows, we talked about him, he finished in 14th. Brandon Watson visiting the tire wall a couple times, coming home in 16th spot, and a couple other drivers had some issues here today. TJ Renamato finishing just off the lead lap in the 2 car, but he'll be happy with an 18th place finish here today. Dexter Stacy, Wallace Stacy, those are 2 drivers that had issues in the 92 and 66. And then the final few drivers, Mark Dilley, you saw the contact he made with the 61. Brent Weller, that ended his day. Brian Cathcart, Peter Kloot, Glenn Stiers, and Larry Jackson rounds out the finishing order as Kevin Lacroix comes onto the front straightaway waving the checkered flag. And you can see what's coming up tomorrow, folks. We'll start bright and early qualifying for the USF 2000 division, 8 o'clock start time, and then we'll get into the Indy Pro 2000 qualifying.